Obviously, we see her shooting, we see her passing, we see all that stuff on the floor, but a lot of that comes from a lot of hard work. She's in the gym almost all the time working on her game.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting to see as well.
Person that's got that cachet, that marketability, that could have been selfish, was selfless, and thought not just about herself, but everybody. And because of that...
Is Caitlyn Clark about to gain the most legendary mentor in basketball history? The Indiana Fever's meteoric rise could take an even wilder turn. Larry Bird might be joining the team. But what does this mean for Christy Sides? And how does Clark feel about it? The implications for the WNBA and the Fever's championship hopes are massive, and we're breaking it all down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's wild? Not that long ago, the Fever were practically invisible in the WNBA. They weren't just struggling, they were at the bottom of the barrel.
When you talk about greats in this game, you know, the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and the Steph Currys, like they are putting her in that category, the Diana Taurasi's.
Clark now has an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that will include her own signature shoe. The deal is the richest sponsorship contract for a women's basketball player.
The team hadn't made the playoffs in a staggering 7 seasons, and fans? Barely there. The arena felt empty. Opponents circled the Fever on their calendars as an easy win, and honestly, it felt like the team was stuck in a loop of rebuilding with no clear direction. Then came this cyclone of attention, Caitlyn Clark. When the Fever grabbed her as the #1 pick, everything changed overnight. But with hype comes pressure. Everyone knew about Clark's dominance in college, how she was dropping triple-doubles and burying half-court shots like it was nothing. The question was, could she turn that into real wins in the WNBA? Expectations don't get much heavier than a generational talent being thrown into a franchise desperate for a savior. Here's the thing, though. She didn't just meet those expectations, she obliterated them. Rookie year, and Clark was already commanding the game like she'd been in the league for a decade. She's putting up crazy numbers, leading in points, assists, and even rebounds in key moments. But what's special about her is more than the stats. She's turned the Fever into must-watch basketball. Suddenly, even non-WNBA fans are paying attention because of her highlight plays, her energy, and how she brings people together every time she steps on the court.
College, I had teammates that were there with me for 4 years and were really comfortable playing with me, and then you come here and you have to learn your teammates in 2 weeks before you step on the court, and that can be really hard.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting to see as well.
And it's not just about the game. Business is booming. Season ticket sales have skyrocketed 400%. Corporate sponsors that never even glanced at the Fever are throwing money at the team, eager to be tied to the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon. The arenas? Packed. It's not just fans cheering, it's celebrities, influencers, and people who maybe didn't care about women's basketball before. The energy when she plays, it's electric. But Clark's influence goes deeper. She's not just a star player, she's becoming a voice in the organization. Could her impact shape the kind of decisions that lead to a coaching change? Which brings us back to the big question. What happens when Larry Bird enters this charged atmosphere? Imagine this. The Indiana Fever, suddenly led by Larry Bird, one of the greatest basketball minds of all time, paired with Caitlyn Clark, the rising star who's already become the face of the WNBA. On paper, it sounds like basketball perfection. But when you dig into what this move could mean, it gets a lot more complicated. Larry Bird's resume doesn't need much introduction. 3 NBA championships, 3 MVP awards, and a level of dominance in his playing days that defined an era of basketball. Then there's his coaching stint with the Indiana Pacers, where he didn't just win games, He transformed the team into Eastern Conference contenders, proving he could lead from the sidelines just as well as on the court. Let's not forget his executive brilliance, shaping rosters and making moves that kept Indiana basketball relevant for years.
Obviously, we see her shooting, we see her passing, we see all that stuff on the floor, but a lot of that comes from a lot of hard work. She's in the gym almost all the time working on her game.
Like I said, she's a special player. She commands so much defensive attention. And I think that's one of the things that separates her in terms of winning that Rookie of the Year.
And through all of it, his roots in Indiana basketball have stayed rock solid, from his college days at Indiana State to his enduring legacy with the Pacers. But here's the catch. Larry Bird has never worked in women's basketball, and that's where the questions start rolling in. Coaching the WNBA isn't as simple as a direct transition from the NBA. The dynamics are different, the style of play has its nuances, and there's a history of men's coaches stepping into women's sports and struggling to adapt. The WNBA audience is passionate and protective of the league's culture, so a move like this is bound to generate both excitement and skepticism. What makes this even more intriguing is how it could impact Caitlyn Clark's role. Bird mentoring Clark? That could be a game-changing partnership. Imagine the insights he could offer her, not just about elevating her play, but about managing the pressure of being a franchise player and in many ways the face of the league.
Now, Rookie of the Month has only been around since 2010, but she's the first player ever to win Rookie of the Month and Player of the Month.
Person that's got that cachet, that marketability, that could have been selfish, was selfless, and thought not just about herself, but everybody. And because of that,
At the same time, you have to wonder, would their strong personalities work together, or could there be a clash over leadership and vision? Beyond the court, Bird's involvement could be monumental for how women's basketball is perceived. His name alone brings undeniable attention. Suddenly, the Fever aren't just a team, they're a cultural lightning rod. The stakes couldn't be higher, and Clark, of all people, stands at the center of it. Caitlyn Clark hasn't just transformed the Fever. She's changed what's possible for an entire league. Her arrival sparked a 400% rise in ticket sales, packed arenas, and a wave of corporate interest that's reshaped the team's identity. But now, with Larry Bird potentially stepping in, this moment could redefine women's basketball on an entirely new level. Bird's legacy might amplify Clark's influence, or their dynamic could test the balance of leadership. Here's the real question. Could this spark a broader trend of legendary NBA figures joining the WNBA? Let us know your thoughts below, because the Fever's story is far from over.